Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank the witnesses for both panels for being here. As Chairman Burgess has said, this is an issue that we have followed, are continuing to work on, and you're going to see us stay with this issue. The fact that we have these airbag ruptures, that they have caused serious injury and death, is of concern to us. I questioned Takata at the last hearing about a November 19th, 2014 New York Times article which noted that engineers at Takata's Moses Lake, Washington facility had raised serious concern about the use of ammonium nitrate as an airbag propellant. They had done that as far back as 1999. Yet, they persist with this. Questions persist, and I thank you all for being here for our hearing. I yield back.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Rosekind, I thank you so much for taking your time and being here. Let's go back to your November 18th second special order to Takata, where they were to come to you with information, further information about their propellant mix. And what we would like to know is what you have been given, what you know about that mix, what is the specific use of that mix in the replacement parts or the remedy parts, as you call them, and in new vehicles.
And I can provide as much technical information as you'd like. What you've identified is one of the special orders that actually triggered the daily penalties that started, because we basically had 2.4 million documents dumped on us with all of that information and try to understand where the meaningful pieces were. So we have some of the meaningful pieces now identified, and we can certainly bring you as much technical information as was provided.
Are you satisfied with the information that Takata has provided to you on their propellant mix?
We're working our way through that information. They have been open about providing us testing data.
Okay.
But the information that you're asking about was millions and millions of pages that have grown from that 2.4, so we're still making our way through that.
Okay. Are they being forthcoming and bringing clarity to that? We want to know what the mix is, the propellant mix is. So are they satisfying the questions that that consumers will have when they want to know this component that is in their vehicle that is to make the vehicle safe now explodes, it causes injury, and the question is, have they arrived at something that is going to make certain that indeed it is safe?
And I would say they will now. That's part of the consent order, that they are required to provide that information.
So you're satisfied. I think if you could just have someone from your team provide a summary so that we will have that for the record, that would be helpful to us for future hearings and for legislation. Also, let me go to the point that was made back to that December hearing we had, that ammonium nitrate was used as a propellant in the 1990s. And so what we would like to know, have you all found any evidence of ruptures from that occurred in the 90s? And if not, does NHTSA have any insight into why not?
And that's a good question. Again, I'll go back and make sure that that's part of the information that we provide you. What's really important about the consent order is we now get to be in the driver's seat to direct this kind of testing. We'll be looking at it both historically and see how that informs what we need to do now.
Okay, we would love to have that as a follow-on, if you will, as to what occurred in the 90s, and as you go back and do a revisit of the information that you have, that would be helpful. One last thing, you mentioned that the auto manufacturers, and Chairman Upton mentioned that they had been doing their part in meeting this. I want to know if you're satisfied with how the dealers are being compensated for this, if they are being made whole, because if everyone is taking their car in for the replacement, that's a lot of loaner cars, that's a lot of man hours. So would you speak to that?
Actually, I'd suggest you ask that of the individuals on the next panel, because we would be focused on that only if it interfered with the recall.
Okay, we are going to ask the next panel that, but wanted your insight also. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kennedy, I'm going to stay right with you. Do you drive a car that has a Takata airbag?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes, I do.
What about your family?
Yes, every one of them.
Are you concerned about
no, I'm not.
the safety of those? Okay, I was listening to your statement, and I think I must have missed something here because you talked about stopping the manufacture of the Batwing airbags, but you never mentioned the ammonium nitrate. You kind of left the propellant
Correct.
out of the mix and then addressed it with Mr. Burgess a little bit. I want to ask if you agree with the statement. This is from an explosives expert at Missouri University of Science and Technology. And he said the following about ammonium nitrate. It shouldn't be used in airbags, but it is cheap, unbelievably cheap. Do you agree with that statement?
That it's unbelievably cheap, or that it shouldn't be used? Or are you?
Both.
I wouldn't say that it's unbelievably cheap. I would say it's competitive with some of the other propellant formulations that are out there, like guanidine nitrate, which some of our competitors use, and which we use in some other inflators. I don't think, I mean, it's a blanket statement that says it should not be used. No, I don't agree with that, because obviously we use it. We've had some issues with some of our ammonium nitrate inflators, but many of them have performed very well.
Are you an explosives expert?
No, ma'am, I'm not.
You are not.
I am an engineer, but I'm not
Okay.
I'm not a chemist. I'm not a explosives expert.
All right. Then let's go to what Ms. Schakowsky was saying. You're still using this. So isn't it true that ammonium nitrate is a dangerous substance to be used in airbag inflators?
No, I don't believe it's a dangerous substance to be used in airbag inflators.
Okay, you do not believe.
We use phase stabilized ammonium nitrate. Most of the issues that you hear about ammonium nitrate are it losing its phase stabilization.
All right, then isn't it true that ammonium nitrate is cheaper than other compounds such as tetrazole?
Probably, maybe tetrazole. But at the time when we started to use ammonium nitrate, the competing material out there was guanidine nitrate.
Okay.
And those two are very similar in cost. There's not a huge difference between those two.
You're an engineer, and isn't it true that your own engineers at Takata warned you about using ammonium nitrate?
Well, from some of the newspaper articles I've read, I assume you're referring to Mr. Lilly's comments. Is that correct?
Mr. Britton and Mr. Lilly.
Okay.
Yes.
And what I can tell you is this. Every development program, every product that any supplier ever makes, there's always a spirited debate about what are the right components, what's the right design, and there are trade-offs on all of those things. The previous materials that we used for propellant was sodium azide. Sodium azide was extremely toxic. It also had the unwanted effect that when it was deployed, it did not burn very cleanly, and there was a lot of effluents that were put into the vehicle, and a lot of people that had respiratory issues were bothered by those. So every propellant, every design, there is always a spirited debate, and you can probably find people always on one side and not on the other.
Because I'm about to run out of time here. Okay, given that you're recalling cars that may have already been repaired, have there been any field incidents reported in inflators that were installed as parts? Any of the remedy situations? Have you had any occurrences with those?
Not that I'm aware of, ma'am.
So all of the replacement parts have performed 100% satisfactorily in the cars in which they have been installed.
Well, what I said was I'm not aware of any of the replacement
Would
parts.
you
having
double
an
check
issue.
that and get back to
Yes,
us
ma'am,
and
I
let
will.
us know? What does Takata believe we know from testing today that we didn't know a year ago?
We know a lot, and not just from our testing. I know I heard some of the gentlemen refer to the Fraunhofer report, which was released We brought Dr. Neutz from the Fraunhofer Institute into our facility in February. We brought a team from NHTSA in.
What kind of changes are you making with that information then if you're still using the propellant that's a problem?
Well, as I said, we do have later designs that do use desiccant. That is one of the things that has been proven to improve the situation. We also have alternate propellants now with guanidine nitrate that we started production a year or two ago, and we're continuing to ramp those up. I think overall you will see our production of ammonium nitrate go down rapidly.
I yell back.
Gentlelady yields